it's pretty, and it's more powerful? Pardon the congestion, my allergies have been going crazy and I'm working off a head cold, but I've been having a ton of fun breaking out more affordable options and seeing how 5G phone radios are becoming more common in different regions. Infinix has been a charming brand to play with, and they sent over the new Zero 5G for me to play with and share some thoughts. And I'm glad they did, because the phone's a champ. Alternate title to this video: The Zero's a hero. It was so corny, I couldn't help that. Main critical points I want to cover: design and performance. And like I said, the hardware is real pretty. There's an obvious influence happening on this shapely rear panel scooping into the camera module. A little BTS here. As a tech reviewer, I like this look a lot, as it's so much easier to clean. When you have a domino camera bulge, it's nigh impossible to detail clean around hard edges. This looks nice. It's got like a little bit more of a liquid or molded effect, and you just wipe it and it's all cleaned up from your pocket lint. The front is pretty too, sporting a decently bright LCD rated for HDR10 and supporting up to 120 Hz refresh rate. Overall, it's just a lovely package for a daily driver phone, and it's been one of the most exciting areas over the last couple years, where more affordable handsets increasingly feel more premium than their price tag. Literally, my last 3 phones with Infinix has showcased an evolving design language that I'm sure consumers will appreciate. And that brings us to the longer section of performance, and this little bugger is a champ. My last Infinix phones were using MediaTek Helio SoCs, and this moves us to a Dimensity. And that changes up the conversation a little more. Selling in many markets where a smartphone might be someone's only main compute device, a little more horsepower comes in handy for a variety of applications. For example, not only can this phone shoot 4K video, it can edit and render 4K video. That's a significant lifestyle upgrade. Now, it's not the fastest phone I've ever benched in a 4K render test, but you can do it. And in some areas, it can still hang with older or budget laptops. We move out of covering the basics really well and into a tier of much heavier compute use. Ditto gaming. MediaTek in this range does not get enough credit for the price to performance that they have to offer. Obviously, a well-optimized game like Dead Cells, that plays great. But I was really surprised by my torture test game, Undead Horde. Tons of little units to manage on screen, and this game can tank phones with much more powerful internals. The Zero was floating a lower frame rate, somewhere in the high 20s, low 30s, but it kept a consistent frame rate over the course of my test, and that's a big deal. As a point of comparison, my recent Xiaomi review phones, all of them more powerful than this, but they let the GPU run somewhat unchecked. And a game like Undead Horde becomes an unplayable slideshow. This is obviously a software optimization issue, but it shows how specs on a website and then a Geekbench score won't tell the whole story when using real-world apps and services. Just popping in real quick, I always appreciate the folks supporting the channel, subscribing, smashing the bell icon, but we know YouTube is not the best place for supporting creators or sending out those notifications, so I'm trying to fix that on my website. If you go to SomeGadgetGuy.com/subscribe, you're gonna see a crazy list of RSS feeds and different playlists. Pop one of these links into a feed reader or even into some podcast apps, and you can customize your own Some Gadget Guy feed. Like maybe you want my phone reviews and my hearing health videos. You can make that, and you'll get better notifications when I really do put out a new video. Once again, SomeGadgetGuy.com/subscribe. Thank you so much for all the support, and let's get back to the review. This brings a budget-friendly phone much closer to a tier of performance that I personally have to compromise less when I'm reviewing a phone like this. So when we see Infinix talking about performance and heat pipes, when we see more premium components for storage and RAM, all of these pieces add up. They contribute to better overall performance. Now, the software all around, it's bouncy, it's fun. This is a colorful skin, it's engaging, and it's cute to play with. There are additions like a long swipe, bringing up a little shortcut menu. I still don't love the Infinix app drawer where it sticks and you can't swipe it back down. And also, I'm just not personally a fan of split notification shades, pulling from one side for notifications and the other for a control panel. It just seems needlessly complicated to me. But supporting Wi-Fi 6, there weren't any issues maximizing the connection on my home network. Unfortunately, the name brand feature of this phone the 5G, I can't really test in my neck of the woods. It did fine-ish on my local LTE, but I don't have the radio support for 5G here. Just rounding out the rest of the phone real quick, the headphone jack is practical, and it should support consumer earbuds just fine. This is obviously not audiophile hardware. Ditto that point for the single speaker. It's decent and it's full for a single unit, but this is gonna be outperformed by phones with stereo hardware. The fingerprint scanner and the power button is excellent. The face unlock is nicely quick. The haptic motor is a bit fuzzy. It's got kind of a shallow surface feel. That's not my favorite, especially when typing, but it's passable for alerts and notifications. The camera is another area where we face a few compromises. The sensor is a solid pixel binning half-inch shooter. And like I said, it can shoot 4K video, but there isn't any fancy stabilization to find. This is maybe the only hardware area where we might see a slight downgrade from the Infinix Note 11 Pro. But the stills are solid, the HDR is vibrant and colorful. Folks shouldn't have many issues landing a solid shot once they get a feel for the camera app. Oh, but the battery. The battery life here is great. Now, mind you, I'm stuck on LTE, but this has been an easy phone to run for 2 days between charges. And when you need to top it off, 33-watt charging ain't nothing to sneeze at, and you get a fast charger in the box. I just can't tell you how refreshing this whole package is when we know the target price window is gonna be around €250. Dual SIM and a memory card slot, a fresh new design. It certainly doesn't look like a Redmi, Realme, Poco, or a Nord clone. These are such fun phones to visit. And like my excitement for some of the competing brands in this space, it's really encouraging to see how much tech is truly trickling down. I really value being able to check in on this gear. Having the privilege of living somewhere where we get access to crazy expensive devices, and many consumers think little of throwing them on financing plans. The tier of phones here around $300 was often just reserved for the most basic calling, texting, and light social media use. But increasingly, we're seeing this tier evolve into an area where someone who bought a premium phone 2 or 3 years ago might legitimately prefer a device like this over a current, more expensive phone. That person who's retiring a Galaxy S9, but they don't want to give up on a memory card slot or a headphone jack. Someone who probably doesn't need a huge upgrade for compute power, but they would love to get a lot more battery life. Our gadgets at the premium price levels should be viewed as increasingly niche solutions. This is something a lot more mainstream, and it's a real good look. I will, of course, leave a link below where to get more information on Infinix. I hope to someday see this option in North America. I think this would be a banger in low-cost carrier stores. As always, thanks so much for watching, for sharing these videos, subscribing to the channel. Support has been greatly appreciated. If you're clicking on the affiliate links or you're shopping a little merch, that kind of stuff really does help keep production rolling on this channel. Full list, all my affiliates and partnerships, SomeGadgetGuy.com, or you might consider, just maybe, joining the list of names scrolling by on your screen from my Patreon, patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. This list is basically a collection of the coolest tech pals in the multiverse. So I hope you'll check them out. Now, you know where you can find me around the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy on the Twitters and the Twitch, the Facebooks and the Instagrams, and I will catch you all on the next review.